Hi, welcome to Law Pod. I'm Ellie, and today we have some very special guests. They're part of the Walkie, Talkie Girlies who have taken over Queens by storm, so they have. And I'm going to leave it for them to introduce themselves.
My name is Aisling Cannon, and I'm the co-founder and chairperson of Walkie, Talkie Girlies.
And I am Shauna McKee, and I am the Society Secretary. I'm a member of the Fountain Executive Committee.
Okay, perfect, girls. I was just wondering what really inspired you to kind of get into Walkie, Talkie Girlies?
Yeah, so we're both final year law here at Queen's, which is pretty scary. But yeah, we started the society back in November of 2023, myself and my co-founder Georgia, and we were inspired by many different things really, but kind of an experience I had really kind of reinforced the idea that we wanted to start the society. And it followed an uncomfortable experience I had walking home from city centre where I couldn't get a bus or a taxi, and I was approached by a man who started asking me questions that made me uncomfortable, and only being new to the city back in first year, I just felt a bit uncomfortable, and I didn't really want to walk home by myself. But a group of students walked past the bus stop that I was at, saw that their bus was also cancelled, and decided that they would just walk home. And I just literally just said to them, "Do you mind if I can walk home with you?" And they said absolutely. And not only did they walk me to Queen, they walked me the whole way back to my accommodation down Malone Road, which took them a good bit out of their way. And they just did that to make me feel safe and make sure that I got home safely. And it really was kind of a defining moment for us that women do feel safer when they're walking with other people. So why not start a society that does exactly that?
Perfect. And yourself?
Yeah, so I commute to and from university, and in the darker winter months, it can be a wee bit scary, coming to and from the train station. And I find in first year, when you're still trying to make friends and you're still trying to find your feet and find your group, and that I was finding myself walking to the train station by myself. And then when it came into second year, I had joined the society with Aisling and Georgia. And through that, I was able to, find people that were walking to and from the train. And it made me feel a lot safer through making those friendships within the society whenever I was going home at night. So, yeah.
I think that's so amazing because there's so many people who they'll not take action, whereas you have. So you have, and look how big it's grown since, you know what I mean? Just from that very small, defining moment, and look how big it has become. So now I'm sure you are aware that International Women's Day is fast approaching on the 8th of March. So I kind of want to ask you a little bit about that and what's your society, if you have any projects or anything in the works.
So International Women's Day would be one of our favourite events. Last year, International Women's Day marked one of our very first events. So this year we have something quite cool in the works. I'm not sure if Aisling wants me to tell you, so I'll pass over.
Yes, so we are hoping to plan an event with Monday's Child, which is a jewellery business based in the UK, and we are also working closely with some female business owners based in Northern Ireland. So we're hoping to have a fun, lighthearted, but also inspiring event. We had an event last year where we had an incredible panel of guest speakers and a Q&A, which we were so proud of, and the attendance was great. And so this year we thought we'll take inspiration from that event and combine it with a fun activity. But yes, it's still very much in the works, but we are super excited.
I'll not push you on that because I'm sure you probably want the element of surprise. But I will ask you, you're talking about inspiring people and you want it to be inspiring. So just a wee fun question. If you could have any influential woman, past or present, join you on one of your walks, who would it be and why?
Okay, I've got two people, right? I'm firstly going to say my mum, because my mum is one of my biggest inspirations, and she would be really mad if I didn't mention her. My mum is one of my biggest inspirations. She's always so supportive, and I'm lucky enough to have that relationship with her that she does push me to be my very best. And the second person that I'm going to say is Michelle Obama. I read her autobiography a few weeks ago and it was absolutely amazing. Michelle came from a minority background and she still managed to get herself to the top. And I think that's just completely admirable. And yeah, she's just a very inspirational lady. Would love to meet her.
I think I'd also have to mention my mum. But yeah, definitely I would love my mum. And she has joined us on a walk as well, which was quite fun. But I think for me, an inspiration I've had since I was probably about 14 was the incredible story of Malala Yousafzai. Her bravery and unrelenting drive to stand up for what she believed in, and her right to education. I think she is so incredible, and all the work she's done setting up Malala Fund after. I love her. She's just amazing. So I definitely think we're definitely going for some really famous women here, but they're famous for a reason.
And minorly fangirling a little bit.
Honestly, they should be on your schedule, so they should. So I was just going to ask, like I said, your society's become really, really big. And a question I want to ask in terms of women's safety is, there's many students around Queens live in the Holy Lands, you know, it's kind of central for students. And it is an area known for safety concerns. I'm sure you've seen Holy Land spotted and things like that there, you know. That sometimes shows the more funny side, but it can be a dangerous place, especially when you're walking alone. And so I was just wondering, have you considered any specific safety measures to protect members after your walks? How do members protect themselves after leaving the walk's endpoint? I just wondered if maybe you organise little subgroups to go into the Holy Lands or into Lisburn Road or into Stranmillis. And I understand that's really, really overbearing and there's only so much you can do, but I'm just wondering if you have any plans in the works.
Yeah, so at the minute, we're currently working with a tech company that's based here in Belfast and also women-owned called Inclutech, and this project is also sponsored by the executive. And it involves conducting a number of focus groups as well as user testing sessions. And basically, this is all about the development of a safety app that is personalised to the needs of women in Northern Ireland, specifically in a late night context. And we're really enthusiastic about being involved in this project. We think it's very, very well done. Inclutech are amazing. The reason we really wanted to get involved with this project is that the safety of our members travelling to and from the walks is something that we are concerned about, because we obviously can't walk home everybody after the walks. People on the walks are safe, but again, getting home, it is a bit more tricky. Now, we do encourage people to walk in groups back. We would say if anybody's heading to the Holy Lands, do walk together, Stranmillis. And there is kind of that bond in the society that people do just say, oh, I'm walking to Stranmillis, do you want to walk with me? So I do think we're kind of fostering that kind of community within our society. But sometimes we do ask people if they're travelling quite far from the walks, we'll ask them to send us a text. But we are hoping to improve that with working with the tech company, and hopefully we'll have some exciting opportunities in the future with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our members themselves, there has been a lot of awareness raised, over the last few months with regards to safety when walking home from one of our walks and stuff, that our members are very, very mindful of their own safety. And I was actually chatting to a few of them yesterday on one of our walks, and they do carry their personal safety alarms, which is great to see, because I remember my granny got me one back, a few years ago, and I was always afraid of it going off in class. But that's something that you do just have to get over. It's for your own safety, and they are really, really important to carry with you.
Also, just to add to that as well, we've been working with Belfast City Council and Queen's about the Hollyguard app, which is one that is particularly useful in dangerous situations, I suppose, where it will record video and audio footage if you shake your phone vigorously. So if you're in a situation, you don't need to necessarily call emergency services. It can be difficult to make that call sometimes if you are in a situation where you don't really want to make it known that you're trying to contact somebody. So by literally shaking your phone, it will record this footage and send it to a close contact or a designated contact. Or else there is a premium subscription that Belfast Council acquired funding for a limited amount of subscriptions to people who are in most need of it. And that it'll send it to a call centre where they will review the footage and then decide whether they need to intervene. It's also quite interesting that there is other mechanisms out there to protect yourself, but even just raising awareness and letting our members know that that is available, and that if they have any questions about it, they can come to us, because we are working with Queen's and the council surrounding that.
I think that's really important that you say that, because sometimes women don't feel like it's a big enough issue for them to ring 999 and ask for someone to help. But the thing is having them apps that'll help. So I think they're such really, really good ideas. So it just shows how much thought you've actually put into like making sure that your members are getting home safe. As you can probably are aware, I'm quite a big fan and I've been saying about how amazing you've been doing. So I have, but I would like you to kind of tell me just about like how your society has grown, especially from the start. So
Yeah, Georgia and I were actually chatting yesterday and we were just chatting about the start of the society. We were saying the first few walks, panicking in case nobody came. And in the back of our minds, we were like, what if this isn't as successful as, we have kind of hyped it up to be? Until now, over 15 months later, where we have just successfully completed Project Pink back in November there, where we saw over 500 people joining in our walk from Queen's to City Hall. And I think even the success in getting City Hall lit up pink and the Lanyon building lit up pink, that was amazing in itself, because the amount of work that Aisling put into making that happen was crazy. And it was tough, but it's something that we kept with and Aisling kept with, and we got there in the end. And I think the day after Project Pink, everything just seemed so crazy. Like, it was just insane. And we were very, very grateful for the amount of support that we got from the university in particular and Belfast City Council in making that happen and raising awareness for such an important issue on violence against women and girls, because it is so prominent, especially in Northern Ireland at the minute. Every time you seem to open BBC News, something else has happened and someone has been attacked or somebody has lost their life, which is just completely devastating. And that's not something that, our students or our staff or anybody in the surrounding community should be afraid of.
I just to draw on what Shauna said about how it was incredible to see 500 people at Project Pink. It was unbelievable. And what is even more unbelievable, I think, is to realise that we have over 500 members, and to think that that is the same amount of people that turned up at Project Pink, and it was just this humongous crowd. To think that that's the same amount of members that we have now, I think just shows that the impact that positivity when tackling these issues, like how important it is to stay positive and to keep that kind of light energy as well, to bring everyone together. But yeah, I don't think 15 months ago we would have even imagined that it would come to this scale. And I think when we first did that interview on the BBC a couple of weeks before our first walk, we had 80 people signed up, which was amazing back then. We had 80 people signed up to join our first walk, and our first walk, as Shauna says, we were terrified that no one would turn up, but we did end up having 40 people on that walk, which was also very scary, and to try and lead people across all the traffic lights on the Lisburn Road, but we got there anyway. But yeah, and then now for our walks, what I love about them is also the fact that we could have a really small walk of 10 people and it's still as fun as when we have our walks of 50 people. And it just really shows that, it's such a great opportunity to hear from other people, to chat to people you never know, to see the people that come to every walk, and then to meet the people who it's their first walk. We are continuing to grow, which is extremely exciting, but we're just so thankful.
I agree. And I think even just, receiving the emails from local businesses that want to collab, I think is a great marker of success as well. I think that's really cool. And they're always so good to us as
and
well.
The discounts, they're pretty good.
And the discounts.
Perfect. What I did want to pick up on is the fact that you said about how in Northern Ireland it is a very prominent issue. Being from Derry myself, it was kind of whenever, I think it was November time, around then, Montserrat was killed. And I remember I was home that weekend and I was meant to go out and all the bars had been shut down and no one knew why. And whenever you heard, it was kind of just absolute shock, because I actually had a friend who worked in Tesco's with the person who was arrested for it. So it just seemed like it hit so close to home. Like, she literally worked with this man, which just shows you it's so close. It can hit so close to home. And then there was the killing in Lisburn Road too. So there's been 25 femicides in NI, 19 of which were attacked or killed in their own home. And 20 out of the 25 deaths, the killers or the people who attacked them were well known to the women. So my question is, how can we move beyond the focus on street safety and the myth of stranger danger to confront the reality for many women, the greatest threat lies within their own home?
I think our society is very focused on street safety, but I do think that keeping women safe in their own home is definitely something that calls for reform in legislation, as we were chatting about the Domestic Abuse and Civil Proceedings Act. Again, educating young boys and men and girls in schools as to what a healthy relationship is, what is not tolerable, what people shouldn't have to put up with. I think early intervention with things like these. You do see studies where a child is showing like they're portraying dangerous behaviour from an early age and from an early outset. And I think nipping that in the bud from that early stage is definitely something that would help to minimise. It might not totally prevent, but it would help to minimise the threats that women face in their own homes.
And as Shauna said, we definitely, because we are a walking group, we are focusing on women's safety on the streets. But it would be terrible of us to just ignore the fact that a lot of, as what you've said, happens in their own home. And as a group of mostly students, we recognise that, these girls are members, it could be their first ever time being in a relationship. And when you're inexperienced around that, knowing the healthy behaviours, as Shauna says, knowing the healthy behaviours and traits of a good relationship can sometimes be difficult. And one thing is, we're really lucky to have such good connections with the likes of Women's Aid and Raise Your Voice NI and Nexus as well. And we're really lucky to have those connections because they conduct so many amazing workshops on healthy relationships, online relationships, and just basically informing young women and men how to interact with each other in a healthy and safe way. And what we really like to do is to use our platform to promote the amazing work that they do as well, and to know that sometimes we might not know everything and how to go about this, but by having these connections, we know where to recommend people to go to, and that's why we really like to do events in aid of Nexus or in collaboration with Women's Aid, because we're constantly reminding people that the supports are there if you need them, and that we recognise that their work is extremely important and it's something that we want to share with our members.
You said your focus is on street safety, but from the way you speak about your members, you obviously seem quite close with them and you really do care about them. You probably are a lot of the time their first people that they might say something to. They trust you a lot more. For example, you said all the charities that you work with. So I think it's a good user actually like the middleman, and which is really important because otherwise they might actually not speak up. So I think even though you say you're focused on street safety, I think you actually all round just empower a woman and you make them feel safe to speak up. So I wouldn't just say that you are for street safety, even though that's your brand. You can see that you work with so many people, and that has just helped so many people.
I suppose on a more serious note as well, just to add to that, we do work closely with the PSNI. As in last year, we conducted a self-defence workshop, which combined like a practical, informative presentation where we had someone come in to talk about specifically keeping yourself safe on the street, but also within the home. Different tips about, well, one was on the street about, how to keep yourself safe at night if you have to walk by yourself. And then the other part, which was also quite fun, was we had
I love this story.
facilitators from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Colin and Ursula.
Yeah, club.
Yeah.
Come to do a demonstration about different like moves, how to get out if someone's holding your wrist tightly and different stuff like that, which me and Shauna were not prepared for. We turned up in Shauna turned up in a dress.
Turned up in a dress and tights. It had been a long day. We had been at something else.
Well, it was a great chance for us to bond, and also
it absolutely was.
We learned so much, we learned so much about each other, but also so much about what to do in those situations.
Absolutely.
And I think keeping close ties with the PSNI is so important, because if you have been through an experience which you think, or you might not even think, you might be confused about whether this is right or wrong, whether you should go and tell someone about that. By working closely with the PSNI, we can destigmatize coming forward with things. And maybe the PSNI isn't the first place you go. Maybe it is the likes of Women's Aid, maybe it's the likes of Nexus, where they can help you guide you through any processes, or even just answer any questions that you might have. And that's why we love working with the different organisations here in Belfast. And as you said, being the middleman is so important, and as also just student to student, women to women, it is a lot easier to speak clearly and openly. And that's one thing that we really enjoy as part of our society.
100%, because even when I did meet you today for the first time, we were chatting, you were just really, really nice people in general, which I think, being the face of this, you need someone that you feel like you can trust. So I just want to ask what your plans are for the future now, because you've done some amazing work, and I doubt you have any plans to stop now. So what should we expect in the future from the Walkie Talkie Girlies? I am curious if you are interested in expanding beyond Queens and making it even bigger than what it already is.
Yeah, no, we are so excited. I think we're one of Queen's fastest growing and one of the biggest societies in just such a short period of time. We definitely don't want to stop. We are going to continue for as long as we can. We are definitely interested in expanding. We are only in the very, very early stages of discussing this, but we would love to bring it to other universities across Ireland and the UK. We have had specific interest from University of Galway, and also we're very lucky to have such close ties with Ulster University as well. So hopefully there'll be room for expansion in the future, but we will definitely be continuing to run next year and hopefully go way over 500 next year. But we're so grateful for all our members, and we hope that our members this year join us again next year.
Absolutely, I agree. We are so grateful for every single one of our members, everybody who shows up to our events, everybody who shows up to the walks, and everybody who supports the charities that we work very closely with. It's definitely something that I'm not ready to give up yet at all. And I know I'm final year, plans for next year are, unknown at the minute, but it's definitely not something that I would want to give up anytime soon. I feel like it feels like a baby.
It does feel
baby.
kind of like our child.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully staying on next year as I'm doing a master's here in Queen's again next year. But the committee is going to have a bit of an upheaval now, as a lot of people who started with us in second year are final years now. So also, just if anybody is listening, is interested in joining our committee or just joining as a member, or even being just a silent supporter on our Instagram, definitely give a look into it.
And then we also have an event coming up with Glow and I. We're currently in the throes of organising that, hopefully aiming for mid to late March. So keep a wee eye out, and hopefully you'll come along with us.
Perfect. I'm sure people will be happy to be part of it and also enjoy the discounts that you get every now and again after your walks. But yeah, and like you said, you're not really sure what your plans are for next year. So has being part of this society kind of influenced your career goals? Would you want to pursue work in related areas?
So at the minute, I started out university wanting to be a solicitor in the corporate world, nice wee firm. And that is still my plans. However, I love working within the community. That's something that I'm very kind of passionate about and love to get involved and work with people and everything like that. So it's definitely something that I do want to continue on in the future, maybe even alongside a career. I know I definitely want to work in the corporate world. That's no question asked. But I definitely want to stay on track with the End Violence Against Women and Girls campaign, and definitely want to stay in touch with the Walkie Talkie Girlies Society as well.
Well, I'm hoping to do my master's in human rights law next year. For me, my interest in law has always been around human rights, and specifically in relation to women. I know I mentioned Malala Yousafzai earlier. She was my first introduction to advocating for women's rights. I wrote a poem about her back when I was 14. I still have that poem, and honestly, it stayed with me the whole time, and it really did reinforce the idea that I wanted to do law, and coming to do it at Queen's has been such an amazing opportunity. There's too many people to name that have influenced my thoughts and inspired me here at Queen's, but I am for sure going to stay working in relation to human rights, and even if it's not human rights in a worldly context, it'll definitely be Walkie Talkie Girlies has changed our lives for the better. and shown us that so many people want to see women thrive. So many people want to be involved in this. And I think that's enough to keep me very much interested in this space for my entire career, hopefully. But Shauna knows what she wants to do. I don't know exactly yet, but I do know that staying at Queen's for another year will be great to inform my opinion and hopefully work towards a career in that space.
That's amazing, guys. Well, thank you for coming in. It's been so nice talking to you and just learning a bit more about your society. It's been really enlightening. Like I said, I am a big fan anyway, but it's just been really nice to actually meet the faces and just see that you're actually very much down to earth people. Like, you know, you haven't let the fame go to your head, you know, so you haven't. And you've been really down to earth people, and honestly so lovely. And I really appreciate you making the time to come in because I know how busy you are. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your questions were fantastic.
Thank you.